North American SCL is back, and we start things off over in North America. A couple of double headers for some of the teams today, and we've got a few new members on each of them to introduce as well. Tully will be joining me for the first set, which is going to be Kingdom up against Elevate.
And you mentioned some newer players as well as some role switches between these teams. Kingdom Paul specifically going from mid into the hunter position, and somebody's really out there in the jungle role for Kingdom.
And who is that? Who's really out there?
TheYungHomie.
TheYungHomie makes his competitive debut on console today for Kingdom. Elevate across the way, though, they're going to have KeegsMate from Saw joining them in the mid lane this time round. Saw dropping their Hunter, and now he's moved over to Elevate as well. Now, these two teams, last split, we didn't get to see them at the LAN overall because they weren't in the top two. So Kingdom, 2-18 last split, but it is a different roster this time round.
But they have the mechanical players necessary to get the wins. They just need to find the synergy within their own roster to really pull out the wins and qualify to these lands. Because we look at KeegsMate specifically coming from Saw from the hunter position, he was making a lot of plays, so I'm expecting him to continue that fashion in mid.
And then Elevate as well, 8-12 last split. Not a bad split for themselves overall. The majority of those wins, though, did come against Kingdom last split with a 4-0 victory there. So 4 of those games out of the 8 came from just this one team.
And going to have Giliara in the solo lane position for Kingdom going from middle. So still a lot of role switches between teams.
Very, very true indeed. We'll see how these two teams kick things off in the SCL, however. It's going to be very exciting today. We do have 8 games to bring you, 8 wonderful Xbox games, and we're going to start things off with P's and B's right now.
First pick going to be for Elevate, looking probably to ban out the typical, the Alquang, the Susanos. In the last split in SCL, those were your 2 jungle go-to picks.
And we saw a lot of Guan Yu bans as well, which I don't think is going to really change over in terms of the console scene here. Guan Yu still seen as a very, very good for the sustain options and great with the cavalry charge.
Once you get into the mid-game with the healing, that's a great option for your team, as well as you have the flexibility between going to the Guardian or the Soul Lane, and that's what you really want to do in picks and bans, just to confuse your enemy.
There's a lot of hard thought between these two teams now, because obviously Elevate will be first pick, first ban. They want to get off to a very good start this split round as well, especially with how hot the competition has been at the top with Most Wanted and Eager, and then Saw trying to climb there. Well, these two teams, they want to try and get their shot in as well.
Well, right now it's going to be their first game of the split, so it's time to show what they really got to the world. Elevate going to ban out the Fafnir.
Yeah, Fafnir straight off the table. He's still very, very strong. You see it banned a lot on the PC side of things as well. However, not with the highest win ratio. Maybe that's down to everybody able to work him out, and also obviously he's been banned so much you don't get to play him that much.
And because of that, there's also more flexibility other than Fafnir. A lot of teams have been running Bacchus every time the Fafnir is banned. Like we mentioned before, the Guan Yu is a really hot go-to pick, and Elevate with the first pick electing to ban out the Guan.
Because I guess if you first pick Guan Yu though, Tolly, it's very likely you're going to get counter-picked off that.
There's some options where you can go Serket in the jungle, you can go Odin, Guardian, Odin support, or even Odin in the jungle in solo.
That's true. We'll see how he works out though. Elevate with their first pick option. Obviously, TheYungHomie in the jungle here may look for his jungler debut with the very first pick for Elevate. If they so choose, there's plenty of things still on the table, especially Susano, which on console I want to say is a very difficult god to play. Those 180 turns are a little bit more hard to confirm and do as quick as possible, so they're going to go with Raijin.
I like this pick for the Raijin because we look at the TheYungHomie. He was the coach for Most Wanted coming into the SCL Summer Split LAN, and he has a lot of strategies in mind. He has the flexibility to kind of not have to go for the Susano right off the bat, so that's why they go for the Raijin.
Well, Ravana locked in for Kingdom Esports. They want a dominant solo laner, and they themselves will take Susano this time round. Kingdom's jungler here, TheYungHomie. I got it the wrong way around. I was looking at Elevate, thinking it was TheYungHomie there. So TheYungHomie will play the Susano.
Oh, okay. So it is going to be Susano on the TheYungHomie with a very aggressive soul laner on the Ravana. So Kingdom probably going to go to an early start. We could potentially see a Wrath invade.
Well, Elevate across the way here, looking to pick up Thor and Bacchus for Rippin holes in the support role. Rippin has a pretty good split, I want to say. Towards the end of things in the relegation fight, we saw a very good performance from him individually on that Bacchus as well.
It's what you want to do out of your Guardian. You want to be able to make the calls, be in the front line always, and be able to set up your mid laner. And the Elevate's 3-on-3 comp, Thor, Raijin, Bacchus, this is pretty aggressive.
Yeah, very, very strong there. And it's going to be Zeus in the mid lane with Susano. So Zeus, for the most part, not really got escapes to his name most of the time. If he's going to get in trouble and he's going to get ganked, he's going to have to fight his way out of it.
Kingdom really has to make sure they have the wards in the jungle to spot out the rotations between this Thor and Bacchus. One belly flop can spell the doom for Zeus. The damage from Elevate just they have so much burst to eliminate Zeus.
Very wise from Elevate there, banning the Athena, especially with a Zeus on the table. You don't want any free confirm of Zeus's damage with that chain lightning. Athena Taunt provide that perfectly. And we do see Kronos and Freya banned, so still, I believe it was the console boys first of all before even the PC guys looked to bring in those mages into the Hunter role once more.
They recognized that the team fight potential was better to exploit in the dual lane rather than going for the individual 1v1 boxing potential for some physical hunters. So I like the idea that a lot of these console players have bringing out the Freya, Kronos, and Souls.
Boom chakalaka. Locked in already for Elevate. Not something we see too often is the Chaac here. Going to be up against the Ravana in the laning phase. Chaac, to be fair against Ravana, he's going to be a little bit careful still, but he's got pretty good wave clear.
He has good poke from a safe distance. He can throw out that axe. He doesn't have to come close to the fists of Ravana, and that's going to allow him to clear the wave safely, make the rotation. Ravana's going to try to keep up.
Is that Hebo AD carry?
It's Paul.
It's Paul and Hebo
Paul.
carry.
From
Against
PC.
Sol. Paul, well, he's not on from PC anymore.
He's from PC, but he's back in the console.
He's back in the console. He's going to play Hebo in the Hunter role alongside Kumbhakarna. Now, he ran that before as well, Tony.
You know where we've seen that before?
Where?
Old school Denial, Pain Divion, when he was in the Hunter position, he used to run Habwa and, back then it was called Ao Kwang, but now known as Kukulkan.
Hang on a second. Everyone's got confused for me. It's not actually TheYungHomie in this jungle role here. It's going to actually be him in the support role. Obviously, Freya's not going to be available for support today for them, so they brought in RedderRippr into that role, but it looks like they're going to have a bit of a switch up in terms of where everybody's going to go here.
Yeah, it looks like Giliara?
Giliara?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's in the jungle,
Gilly
not
for sure.
TheYungHomie, but he's still out there, though, trying to support Paul from PC.
Yeah, Paul from BZ on that Hebo. So Hebo versus Bacchus and Sol. Well, Hebo Kumbhakarna versus Bacchus and Sol. Talk to me about that matchup, Tolly.
It's devastating.
For whom?
Whoever gets knocked up first.
Gotcha. So if Hebo gets into the sky, it's not going to be a good time for him. However, if Sol goes for a wild ride, she's not really going to enjoy it either.
Not at all. But I like this Guardian choices for Kingdom. Having this Kumbhakarna makes it very difficult for the Soul to really get in position to try to clear the wave. The Kumbhakarna is going to obviously clear with a dash and then look to play aggressive and try to mess to set up Paul for an easy knockup.
Well, there is something they could look to exploit this game as well, because Kingdom Esports is Paul here. He's gone with the Sanctuary at the beginning of the game, and if Thor recognizes that, if Jumpahhh on the side of Elevate knows this is going to happen, then he could look to gank this one and try and pressure that Sanctuary early. No Purification means you can get a lot of free damage off before you can even use that ability.
It makes sense to go Sanctuary against the Soul. She doesn't have really crowd control other than the knockup from her initial Supernova, so as long as you can avoid the first hit with the Sanctuary, you'll survive, and then you can turn it around with Habwa very easily.
So normally we'd go through the lane matchups here, and we're going to mainly focus on this one because it's Hebo versus Sol, which is something you're not going to see too often, I feel, in any sort of competition. Paul focused on wave clear more than anything else for the time being, and there's that Hoot and Holler Bacchus skin that you guys can get at home today. If you actually check out the game, you can find it in the holiday special for the Labor Day weekend.
And just like that, look at the poke between Paul and Zen off the table. That's the beauty between having these magical gods in the Hunter position this early on. They're in hands. They hurt a lot.
And look at what Paul started with here on the Habwa as well, going straight into the Bancroft's talent tier 2 already. Could look for the Pythax piece after that, but more than likely the Bancrofts and the root on to Zen early on in this lane. Going to put a little bit of poke out and force it to disapparate.
And that's going to give the advantage to Kingdom Esports in this duo lane, just trying to make sure that they win the potion battle.
Well, overall, it's a small little lead at the moment for Elevate in terms of farming, just because of the way they've done it in the jungle so far. When you look at the jungle, you can just see the two mid laners, the jungler on Jumpahhh and his teammate there, Keegs, who's now starting for Elevate. We'll go to the back harpies.
It's going to be both level 3 for junglers. They haven't gotten a chance to hit level 5. Still really early in the game, 2 minutes in. KeegsMate with Jumpahhh, though. I really like this composition between the Raijin and Thor. They have a great long-range setup.
And should we be looking for Zeus in the mid lane here? More often than not, just go all in on the Zeus every single time.
Yeah, you want to be able to try to look for the aggressive plays onto the Zeus, especially if you can pin him against the wall with Tectonic Rift. It's not going to allow him to obviously get away.
Well, Jumpahhh definitely has a lot of options here in this lane. But there's an ult coming out from Chaac early on. Overhead kick nicely timed coming out from RedderRippr, though, in response. So Niqued not going to find anything there.
Have to be more careful and mindful about when the overhead cooldown is going to come back available. Niqued just wasting that a big important cooldown, because now this could allow the Susano to make the rotation. There's no CC immune ult ulti for the shock.
He's got a couple of potions left, has Niqued here up against RedderRippr. RedderRippr now level 5 with an ultimate available, however. And as you said, there could be an exploitable option there for Jumpahhh on that Thor. So we just tune in with these guys and just see him wailing away, as you'd expect.
And this is why you pick Chaac or Arlong Shen against this Ravana. You're going to be able to clear safely from a distance. You don't have to trade out poke against this Ravana who relies on hitting you and the minions at the same time.
Fire Elemental's going to go the way of Elevate there, just extending their little bit of a golden experience lead early on in this one. Back to the Joe lane, everybody now level 5 over here. I should lie, only Salt level 5 right now. Zen sat there just farming away, and Hoot and Holler Bacchus ripping holes will just hit 5 now, so a bit of a power play in that dual lane as well.
And the jungler for Kingdom, the Susano, finished off the Warrior Tabby 3, and there's going to be an invade onto the red buff. Elevate looking to play aggressive.
Yeah, red buff going to be stolen away here. However, Giliara and the Susano going to come in through the jungle there. Qidas is his actual real name backwards, which is Sadiq. But it doesn't really matter about that. He's going to be forced out. At least he's not playing Geb mid this game. But Kumbhakarna, homie FA, going to find the Yawn, but Disapparate comes out nicely there to defend. However, a lot of pressure on Thor, who does get to his hammer just in time. Ripping holes, saves the day.
That's so unfortunate. Giliara could have found the Jetstream teleport after the hammer teleport, just a little bit jumping the gun, but that's going to force Thor out and immediately to respond. Look where the Kingdom is going. They're going to go for the speed buff invade.
Well, TheYungHomie has his ultimate available there. Just his presence alone slowed them down. However, the invade on the right-hand side as well did not get denied there by Chaac, and Giliara just take that away with the support of Supra.
And this power spike, having the boots 3 for the Susano over boots 3 for Jumpahhh, allow them to make that poke play on the red buff, instantly responding with a speed buff of their own.
Now, even though they did manage to get that speed buff on the right-hand side there, you can see that there's still a small lead advantage for Elevate so far. Left-hand half is being contested, will go the way of Elevate, but there comes Jumpahhh dunking in, and Bacchus in the world of hurt here, looking to get away, but those taunts coming out from Keegs is going to stop him, but the sleepy time is online.
It's going to be allowing him to respawn. The cooldowns will come back online, and now KeegsMate's so poked out. This gives a little bit of an opportunity for Kingdom to play aggressive, but with the rotation from Niqued, they have to be careful. The axe just barely off the mark.
Asked him a question and he had an answer for it, which was just walking away. The bad news is for Kingdom here, they didn't recognize that red buff is still available on the left-hand side. If they would have found that opportunity, they could have stole that away. Instead,
I think they knew they were just too low to really be confident to do this, because the rotation from Soul would devastate all of Kingdom if they went for that red buff.
I do like the rotation from Niqued there. Obviously, he's had a pretty good laning phase so far because Robin not really been struggling. So use that opportunity to rotate around if you can, especially now that Axe is near enough max out there. You can see you can start clearing the wave pretty much in one hit.
And Rippr not unfortunately taking advantage of the rotation from Niqued. He had a small window of opportunity to steal that blue buff away, instead elected to go for his own blue.
And into the jungle goes RedderRippr now on the Raven to check out the fire elementals. Unfortunately, they are down, but the first signs of aggression really were coming out from Elevate there with that Thor gank in from the left-hand side. It was Kingdom that looked for pressure, but it was actually Elevate that initiated.
It was still a small win because you get the passive down from TheYungHomie. Now you could potentially look for a kill onto him because he has Traveler Shoes, so he's really mobile, and with that HP 5, you want to make sure you try to lock him down and find the kill. You don't want him to get the sustain off of that item.
Well, as long as he can stay alive for a little bit longer, though, that passive will come back up, and it's very hard to calculate for the side of Elevate when that passive is going to be available. And sometimes you'll commit a little bit heavier than you plan to, expecting to kill the Kumbhakarna and have it turned around on you.
Well, the way they did it last time with the Thor and the Raijin ultimate was very successful, so probably should be looking for that option again, especially with ripping holes on the Bacchus, which Shoes of the Mad Guy has a good enough damage.
Yeah, Rippin holes was in a bit of a trouble last time round, but Kumbhakarna around the corner, going to yawn on 2, uppercut onto Thor. Their chainline and mute very early from Supra. However, Giliara with the Susano going to go in and immediately jump into the sky with Thor. Look at it potentially coming down here, and Susano could be in trouble.
He could be. He's going to get dashed on by the Thunder Crash, but taking so much damage. So it's going to be first blood for Keegs.
Keegs gets the kill, and now they're running for their lives. All very low health. The Zeus ult was fantastic from Supra, as you can see by the player damage, but it wasn't enough to secure a kill, and Elevate limp away with a very small victory.
That was a slight opportunity for Kingdom to. They had a great setup in the soul lane, though. Still trading up poke, not really too much to write home about. On the left-hand side, TheYungHomie knocked up the Thor, and oh my god, hold that thought. There's going to be a kill in the soul lane. Where was his ultimate?
RedderRippr just kind of hung around there. He could have potentially ulted at any given time. Then he had more mana online for himself, so he could have ulted away. Chose not to.
I didn't talk about that because he didn't need to die there. He had his ultimate to escape from the shock ultimate.
Yep. Well, that's what happens sometimes, Tolly. You think they're going to get away, and they don't. The game of Smite. Right inside Rippin holes versus Kumbhakarna. However, Susano is there too. Good contest coming out from Rippin holes here, and he gets one of those creeps, and the other one's also going to go his way with the help of Keegs.
in the rotation from the Thor, trying to look for any sort of exploit. There's no speed or blue to invade with the teleport coming from RedderRippr. He's now hitting level 10, one level behind the Chaac.
Well, the left-hand Harpy's going to go the way of Kingdom here, and you can see Thor now rotating towards mid lane with that speed buff in hand. Could look for a cut-off option here with the wall, but unfortunately chose differently. He split the uprights between the two.
It's still a nice opportunity because you deny some experience and gold to the Zeus and the Kumbhakarna, allowing Susano to find the solo style.
Well, Jumpahhh there in the jungle on that Thor as well. Level 7 right now, a little bit behind Giliara, whose name in this game at the moment on the Susano is Qidas. It's Sadiq backwards for some reason. He decided to name himself that for today, so just know him as Giliara. He's the famous Geb player.
I think that's his real name, Sadiq.
Yes, that's what I've heard too.
So in the solo lane, just still going to go for poke. It worked out for Niqued last time around. The ultimate wasn't used from RedderRippr, unfortunately. So feeling very confident. Look at that Chaac skin. He's just going to get a little bit more bloody after every kill. Well,
Golfury was looked at for a second there from Kingdom Esports, but they just warded up and go back to farming. Niqued over on this side had a pretty good game so far. Dominated well on this Chaac, and it's not something you get to say too often about Chaac.
Not at all. And now Chaac feeling very confident. He's going to walk into 3 members. Has to be very mindful, but still putting attention onto the speed buff. There's going to be aggression in the red buff.
Because they see so many people over on the speed buff side. Zeus under pressure, forced to ult in place. Sanctuary buys some time, but everyone dips out of the ultimate. Thor to the sky, however, and Rippin holes. The last one trying to get away. Keegs forcing one out. It's Kumbhakarna. Ults onto Rippin holes to bring him down as well. 1-for-1 exchange as Zeus and Bacchus fall.
Thor did a good job diving in the backline. He's still looking for some setup. Nice double tap. Nowhere for Qidas to go.
And the silence comes out there from Niqued too. He's looking for Paul, and Paul will go down to Zen. The damage coming out from Sol, very, very big. And Elevator started to run away with this game. Sleepy time was there. Sleepy time is gone. 6-1, and the Golfury exposed.
4 free kills on the side of Elevate. They're going to start up this Golfury. Only this Ravana to contest, but going to get zoned away by Niqued. Should give Elevate a free one.
A huge boon of experience and gold going the way of Elevate just from that one team fight there. 9 minutes in, you can just see the burst that came through. And now they can even look to pressure mid if they want here. Neek's over on this side. He's doing fine for himself, but just going to rotate back to the solo lane and get his blue buff.
Speed buff still not responding for Elevate Kingdom. They need to be able to get back into this game, so they need to make some power plays. They'll have speed and red off of the respawns, and they need to start looking for some aggression. They need to ward offensively, look for somebody out of position, and just group up between these 3v3. I haven't seen any plays between the Susano, Zeus, and Kumbhakarna after the initial attempt on left side.
Yes, good point. They kind of just like held back now. And I think for Elevate's point of view, with that win, they can just wait for the next goal for you here, totally. There's no reason for them to push the boat out too much. Just farm out, make sure they share the experience well, and continue to hold this lead.
At 10 minutes with a 3,000 goal lead, it's good enough to respect it. And yet again, still getting hit by this huge cooldown. RedderRippr going to get dove under this tower, and finally now using the ultimate, but Niqued's axe is coming up in 1 second.
There we go. He's going to connect. Yes, just from max range. Niqued's going to get one more kill for free over on the right-hand side.
Still making him extra bloody, and meanwhile, Susano falling in the mid lane. I think he was trying to contest a Harpy's getting caught out of position, and now Thor grouping up with a Chaac on the right. The nice hobble ultimate on the left, just needs to connect with one more water sprout.
Going to go back towards the minions is Sol though, but he's going into enemy territory here. The run round from the Supernova, the trade happened. Get soloed, Zen and Paul.
And that's the beauty of this matchup. Even though Habwa finds a kill with water sprout, by making him immobile, the Sol recognizes this, just throws out the Supernova, getting the trade off.
And now Zeus in the mid lane, under pressure from Rippin holds. Very good play from there. And the ult from Keegs on point, crashing in too, but Zeus doing good work with Homie here to potentially turn this around. Keegs now out of position with archers involved too, and the detonate goes off. Meditate from the Homie as well, coming through big. Zeus doesn't get hit by the double tap, still standing strong, but Berserker Barrage and the passive kicking in. But now Jumpahh's under pressure too.
There's no hammer for him to escape, and that's going to be another trade. So 2 for 1, doing a great job buying enough time Supra. And I like the way they initiated onto Zeus regardless, because Keegs used his ultimate and he constantly moved forward while firing those shots, trying to get out of the Zeus range. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find the kill due to that nice meditation.
Well, a lot of aggression coming out now from both the two teams. The right-hand tower did fall down in favor of Chaac there and the boys of Elevate. And when we actually go back to that solo fight that we saw in the Hunter position between the two, they both died, yet neither of them used the relic. Like, in that whole engagement there, neither of them used a relic at any given time. Yes, one of them, Sanctuary, I believe, was online for the Zen there as well, but he didn't use it, and we didn't even see Hubwa use it either.
That's true. The Hubwa had the opportunity after the water spout. You can immediately use that Sanctuary to prevent any sort of incoming damage, and would have gotten a lot of experience off of that free additional wave.
Yeah, well, in the end, it traded out pretty evenly. Speed buff now going to be taken by Elevate on this right-hand side. Jumpahh's back on the Thor once more time to make sure he gets his speed buff. He's still a little bit behind, though, I want to say. Still at level 12 compared to the rest of his teammates, but neither is Susano across the way, so both these junglers still needing their second relics.
900 gold for Jumpahhh in the lead of Qidas, so that's going to allow him to make some power plays. The Jotun's Wrath being worked on for the Thor, just now hitting level 12, could back for that second relic. It looks like TheYungHomie was thinking about ganking this soul, but he was standing right over a Sentry Ward.
Yeah, Sentry Ward right in that position, so just gave the game away. However, talking about giving the game away, Elevate grouping up around this left-hand side here, looking for a pick, potentially flop from Rippr on 2, followed by an Intoxicate as well. Going to force him into an awkward position because Niqued's made a rotation here, and this could be a very, very good pick under the tower onto Zeus. However, Niqued under pressure now, trapped in the tower range. Body blocks could come into play. Unfortunately enough, not going to happen for now. Rotation coming out from Sol as well, as Elevate start to group up in mid.
Qidas pulled away Niqued during the ultimate epic uppercut from TheYungHomie, unfortunately. So now 5 members from Elevate trying to get this tier 1 tower after picking off Supra.
And they're still poking them down, chipping away, and Paul around the side on the hub wall, really looking for an opportunity to come round to this fight, but they know he's there, and continuing to Elevate here to poke out this minion wave, take it in turns to tank the tower, but Susano is on the way back.
I love how patient Elevate is right now, because they don't want to commit on the tier 1 tower. They see Paul on the left-hand side. If he makes a flank, he can easily find a 3-man Hub ultimate or even more, and that would devastate all of Elevate, allowing Kingdom to get back into this game. Golfier is about to respawn soon.
All this pressure, though, Tolly sees that Elevate now take the speed buff and the blue from the enemy jungle, so more experience stripped from Kingdom Esports, and continues to extend Elevate's lead here.
And they're going to continue onto the pressure. Chaac just very content with farming. He wants to get to that late game form, and there's not really much that Elevate can really respond, or Kingdom can respond with that.
This seems to be Paul's personal pick here, Hebo versus Sol. I've seen him play it before, and I'm pretty sure it was against the Sol as well. Yeah, I think he just likes this matchup as forcing both Purification and Sanctuary one after the other there. With how little mana he had, I don't think he had kill potential.
Just really panicked there. They're going to be aggression onto TheYungHomie. Going to get walled off. The belly flop slightly off the mark, but now diving to tier 1 for this kill.
Oh, big silence coming out from Chaac on the backside of the drums from Keegs will secure one onto Susano. Sleepy time for Homie FA. Sorry, for Homie FA, for TheYungHomie. As still Niqued tanking the tower as long as he could, throwing the axe out one more time. The boys of Elevate diving very deep for these kills, but it's not working out great.
The Jumpahhh had to sacrifice his life. KeegsMate dies as well. Now Niqued getting off the mark with that water spout. Paul really needs to find this kill to get back in.
Like the ultimate there coming out from Paul, he missed it. He knew he was going to miss, but what he did do was close the gap enough onto Chaac to make sure the water hands come out and secure the kill. Elevate diving very deep there, and I don't think they needed to, Tolly, but they did come out on top, I guess.
When you're in the lead, you don't really want to trade as much as you can. I think they lost 3 members for 2 on the side. It favors Kingdom, especially if killing this such a high level Chaac with already 2 kills in his name. Giving that kill, more importantly, to Paul is going to give him more levels and more damage.
Very true. It's a shame they don't go for the Gold Fury here, especially with only 2 members now on the map. However, Jumpahhh has respawned on the Thor, so he'll be on the way back too. Rippin holds still only level 11, as is TheYungHomie on Kumbhakarna for the time being, so supports still need those relics.
So Elevate committed a lot of cooldowns to TheYungHomie, but they also found Qidas at the same time, which was nice, but they committed too hard. They had no escapes to realistically get out. Jumpahhh had to sacrifice his life for the Zeus, and as a result, after they killed out the Chaac now, Kingdom, they delayed the game. They don't really find anything, but they did find the blue buff on the right-hand side.
Very unfortunate for Supra here on the Zeus in mid lane for Kingdom Esports. I think he's had a pretty good game for himself so far. I mean, he is 1-4, and it doesn't really reflect how much of an impact he's made. You can see that in the player damage.
And something else that happened in that mid-tier 1 tower fight was the Zeus ultimate. When TheYungHomie was in the sleepy time, the Raijin, he didn't want to hit him because if the Zeus ultimate would have devastated him.
Yeah, very, very true indeed. Well, Golfury still stands, and Jumpahh's now around here as well, but he's clearing out ward for the time being. It does put a little bit more pressure onto the Hunter there, Paul, in the Hebo position, I should say, because he's got Thor available to just gank over now. He's got to be very careful about how far he pushes up.
We haven't really seen too many ganks from Jumpahhh as we could have potentially seen, but looking for some jungle setup with a stun. KeegsMate electing to clear out mid instead, wants to try to group up and look for somebody out of position.
Well, Susano here has taken Wrath as his second relic this game as well. I think he wants some extra secure around this Gold Fury, and now the ward wars begin. Wall off the mark, double tap, however, on the mark.
And that's going to allow Elevate to continue onto the aggression. They find the counter to the counter, and with that little bit of poke, there's not really sustain on the side of Kingdom, so they have to be really careful about getting stunned out by Jumpahhh.
Right-hand side, Solo let it show up, and actually that went the way of RedderRippr because he did get that level on those right-hand harpies, and still everybody does the dance of the Gold Fury.
Kingdom still behind 4,000 gold. They don't really need to force anything quite yet. They just need to have the good wards to spot out the rotation from Elevate, but now it's a 5-man grouping. There's going to be a team fight around this gold soon.
Kingdom have to be careful of that tier 1 tower mid lane though. It's very, very low, so if they don't watch the rotation coming in from the minions could just bring that down on its own too, which could give Elevate an opportunity here, and I think that's why we see Chaac still in mid lane, pushing those waves in, keeping someone pinned back to defend.
It's also because his teleport is still down for 70 seconds. Otherwise, I guarantee you he would be farming up in the solo lane, trying to finish off that Frostbound Hammer. He's already level 18, getting to that late game form.
And Niqued as well also managed to chip down at that tier 2 tower on the right hand side, so Chaac having a very good game, level 18 so far. He's actually made some very good rotations, which is what you kind of hope for a Chaac. We always talk about what we expect from a Chaac. Well, this is one of the first times I've really seen it in a long time.
Doing a little bit of poke onto Qidas now, having the sustain to trade off of the poke from Paul. Still grouping up is Elevate. They really want to find somebody from Kingdom out of position. They have really good wards to spot it out.
This has worked out well for Kingdom so far because left-hand side, Paul keeps pushing in that wave to the tier 1 tower. And we've not seen Sol rotate back there to farming up. Instead, they're doing the Gold Fury stance some more.
I'm just surprised that Jumpahhh hasn't really committed with an ultimate onto Paul, just to even force out his purification early on, right? Because when you land on Paul, you instantly use Berserker Barrage and you can't get knocked up, so you have to force the purification.
Well, RedderRippr looking for a ward there, but instead he gets counted out one more time and in control for Elevate in terms of ward placements. Niqued in mid lane still pressuring this tier 1 tower as Zeus has returned back to the fight here. Supra headed back to base there, working towards a Spirit Robe here is the Zeus.
It looks like Jumpahhh did try to gank onto the left-hand side. His ultimate is not available. This gives Kingdom a slight opportunity. The purification wasn't even burned, so it looks like it was off the mark completely.
Yeah, YoungHomie really looking for the opportunity to try and burn something with that yawn, but no panic coming out from KeegsMate. They're very patient to do that, especially when you had Purification and Sanctuary available, but it does go the way of Elevate because of that little situation there. Keegs get himself out of trouble.
Still farming the left lane is Paul. They're really being patient about whoever makes this next misstep, but now RedderRippr coming underneath in the left-hand side. It's going to be an isolated one-on-one to disapparate. It's going to give him the mobility to escape from that water sprout.
I do actually want to see potentially Jumpahhh on the Thor just rotate around to the left-hand side a little bit more here, because we see Hebo going aggressive every single time here. If he commits, we can actually see Zen on the Soul bait him into a bad situation and have the Thor turn up at the right time.
Well, the reason why Paul is going aggressive now is because Thor ultimate's down, and they also saw the rotation with that bottom left sentry ward, so that gives Paul the flexibility to continue to be aggressive. And we know Paul, previous split, how aggressive he is in mid, transitioning that into the duo.
Well, the 5-minute Gold Fury dance we just saw has kind of ended for a second because everyone's decided to go back to farming again because buffs did respawn in terms of speed and blue. However, now that the junglers and the solo lanes have picked those up, we're back to the Gold Fury fight and Elevate feeling that they can do this now.
Bacchus gonna start it up, taking a little bit of poke. He's already at half health. This could be a team fight. Gonna find the dash, tried to hit Bacchus, but the Gold Fury intercepted it.
Drums of war come out, as does Zeus. This could go either way. I'm not sure who's going to get that Gold Fury whatsoever here. And now with that, the flop comes down too, and they're going to look for the pressure on as well as Thor goes in and actually get Susano getting a kill onto Rippin Holds.
Rippin Holds falls, and Kingdom did get the Gold Fury, so now they're on the aggression. The Sanctuary being forced by KeegsMate. Super's ultimate not available, but still doing a lot of poke. Paul, he could ulti and find the Water Sprout if he wanted to, but the Thunder Crash would probably let him get away.
Just to remind you, Kingdom Esports did get that Gold Fury there. You saw the graphs on your screen as well, a little bit delayed, but you can see the graphs went down, so Kingdom did secure that Gold Fury, which is very, very important for them after the fact that they lost the first one and how well Elevate have been playing so far. But mid lane, they're pressuring a little bit too hard, and now Chaac is here.
The Sanctuary a little bit too slow on the mark. Super taking too much poke for his trouble, and now Niqued and Zen being able to hold off 4 members of Kingdom, now putting their own pressure in mid.
Jumpahhh coming in as well with the ultimate, but already Kingdom had disengaged. However, they want to limp back to base here, but 3 members here to defend. YoungHomie at half health on the Kumbhakarna. Niqued's going to be able to tank up this tower quite happily and allow Zen to bring down a tier 1 to answer back the Gold Fury.
Great zoning tool by Niqued. That's what he needs to do. Throw out the axe and then just use the rain dance to create such a slow minefield to not allow any sort of positioning for Paul to find the knockup or Super to find the chain lightning.
Well, that's a farm for a little bit here. You can actually see on the left-hand side a little bit overextension coming out from Keegs here. I don't think he's realized where the hell he was then, because now Susano's on the way as his hub war, and he just used his Thunder Crash, so it's going to allow Susano to close the gap, pull him in, and if Hebo can get there in time, they could have found a little bit more pressure.
Just forcing out a health pod, not really anyone in position to follow up off of the aggression. Didn't want to commit with the Typhoon, even though that probably would have forced out an early purification out of Keegs. So looking to be very mindful because they didn't have any wards to spot out the rotations of Elevate.
No wards at all. Red buff going to get dropped there and given over to Keegs one more time. Builds coming along. You see Warlock Sash for the Raijin in the mid lane. We mentioned the Spirit Robe on the side of Zeus this time. A little bit worried about the burst damage after being CC'd, it seems. So going to help him out a little bit more.
And we've seen this before in mid laners. Sometimes if they're getting focused too heavily, they'll go for a more defensive option. We saw yesterday specifically, I think it was Chaos on the Isis that kept getting dove heavily by the opposition. He was forced into Dynasty Play Helmet, Breastplate of Valor, and Spirit's Robe.
Well, it's not a bad little option for him anyway with the Spirit's Robe to start things off, as well as the Bancroft's Talon. Young Homie on the Kumbhakarna here. We keep mentioning his name because he was the coach for Most Wanted last split, and he actually came to the LAN and actually did good things for them there. So his knowledge about the game seems to be paying off a little bit for Kingdom here in terms of the itemization anyway.
Holding off his zone so far, he's only had one death on this Kumbhakarna. He's trying to look for some plays, but it's been a lot of Elevate that has been dictating the pace of the game between Keegs and Jumpahhh.
Oh, they want Paul on this left-hand side, and I don't think Paul recognizes what's going on until round the corner comes the Raijin. The stun did hit, however, he's going to turn it around at Keegs. Keegs forced to ult, but he's not going to get it off in time. Paul with the Sanctuary going to avoid a lot of this damage, but he's still got 3 members on him. That was a 4v1, and he got a kill.
You have to respect this late game Habwa. There's a reason that Paul loves Habwa, and right there is it. And now however, in the mid lane, though, Supra Sanctuary is being used. Niqued is going to be able to slow down Supra constantly.
TheYungHomie to the rescue, however, and then Susano to make sure he gets out of the danger. RedderRippr stayed in lane and will get a tier 1 tower to answer on the back on the left-hand side. There was a Nammed Lion. He had to teleport into that tier 1 tower, still stands.
Niqued was doing a good job zoning because this allowed the tier 1 on the left to go down. There was more pressure on the tier 2, which forced out the teleport from RedderRippr, like you mentioned, and now there's going to be pressure on the tier 2 mid. This is a great job by Elevate, just pulling Kingdom apart.
Well, Homie coming around the back on the Kumbhakarna here. Rippin holds on zone G. He gets aggro as well, and they're trying to slow down Kumbhakarna getting in, which allows Sol to pick up the tier 2 tower. Thor to the sky may force Kingdom to disengage.
The epic uppercut landing back down his Soul, but the Separate prevents the damage. The Chaac doing a great job ulting in the silence in the backline. Meanwhile, Qidas going to get chased down by Jumpahhh.
Yeah, trying to chase him down, but he will fall back. And Elevate got what they came for, though, there, Tola. They got the tier 2 tower in mid lane. Luckily enough, the minions did enough work on the right-hand side, however, for Kingdom to pick up that tier 1 tower to make that an even lane.
So now it's back up to a 4,000 gold lead for Elevate after they got their Gold Fury stolen away. So they're still looking for these offensive plays. They're feeling very confident with their 3v3 matchup. We saw just how much CC they had. They had the Thor stun to prevent the Bacchus, to prevent Kumbhakarna from getting in. Then they had the Bacchus belly flop, which allowed Sol to constantly get up those in-hands in the tier 2 tower.
Very, very true. Paul's going to pick up his red buff there, and Paul 3-3-1. Went for Runner to Hootie pretty early in this game as well. Now looking for what looks like a Soul Reaver to go with that. A lot of burst damage on the Habwa, and that's kind of what he brings to the fight.
This is the mentality that he loves, just a glass cannon, all-in aggressive style. If he connects with 2 or more people on his ultimate initially, then this is what you want to do. Even if he dies in the process, he'll be able to chunk those players down below half health. Well,
we mentioned the Gold Fury. It's about to respawn one more time round, and we see the dance around it last time. Elevate pulled it, did the majority of the damage there, but at the end of the day, when Zeus turned up and it was still aggroed by the TheYungHomie, it went the way of Kingdom, so I don't think Elevate want to give this one up, otherwise it'll once again tie the game a little bit.
Elevate have to be more careful about how they leash this Gold Fury because of that Zeus ultimate, like you mentioned. It's such a big zoning tool. The last time around, Rippin didn't want to disengage away from that Gold Fury because he had the Wrath available, so he's trying to contest the detonate.
And you can actually see what happened there. Kingdom are looking at the Fire Giant here, but meanwhile, Elevate started the Gold Fury. Only Susano here to defend. Tornado comes out, and he steals it again. Kingdom Esports get it, and Gilly's looking to run away. They're going to try and invest a lot into him, but the meditate from TheYungHomie helped him out. Drums are war-standing, but still Susano stands, but then Jumpahhh comes in.
Not able to get the jet stream off at the last second. Now Kingdom trying to retreat after stealing the Gold Fury for the second time. Niqued doing a good job zoning Supra away. Zeus ultimate going to try to slow down Niqued, and that's going to probably get Niqued dead.
Burst though from Hebo is good enough to make sure he defends him and uses the ultimate to confirm as well. 1-for-1 exchange solo for the jungler. And Elevate, however, though, going to find some nice jungle buffs to take as treats.
They have to find something after losing the Gold Fury, but now Kingdom, they're looking for some options to maybe chase this down. The Souls to Separate is not available. This could be a potential dive. Rippin holds at less than half health.
Yeah, it looks like the whole of Elevate, though, just want to retreat back into their own jungle here in Kingdom. Going to take this opportunity to try and clear out the Gold Fury pit and make, so Fire Giant Pit, I should say, and get control for themselves.
That's what they need to do. It's still a 4-on-4. You have such late game damage between the Zeus and the Habwa. This is a small little power play spike for Kingdom, and that's why they're grouping up in mid.
Grouping up in mid, but around the corner comes Rippin holes here. Going to look for the floppies. 2 majors to deal with in mid. Purification used on Keegs, though. As over the wall comes Rippin, gets an Intoxicate on 2, but eats a lot of free poke for that. Nicely done from Paul.
That's what you have to do if the Bacchus is going to initiate. But in the back line, Jumpahhh going to land in, forcing the Purification from Paul. Zen trying to look for the Stellar Burst, electing to just clear the wave, though.
I feel this is still Elevate's game at the moment, Tolly, but at the moment it still could go either way, especially if one of these fights, changes with a Habwa play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or even the Zeus play.
That's
so
true.
It's very difficult to find the dive, which is why we see a more tanky option for Magical side for Niqued now. He has to make this transition. He went for the Genji's Guard, now building into Bulwark of Hope.
Yeah, and actually in the jungle for Jumpahhh here, 7, 2, and 5 is the Thor. I didn't feel like he was having that much of an impact, but he clearly is. He's been involved in, what, 12 of the kills so far this game?
He's also been able to find some important cleanup kills. So he finds the setup with the Raijin, finding the stun, the double tap, Raijin follows up, and then all that little poke, once the Bacchus follows up, allows Jumpahhh to find the cleanup with his own ultimate. Well,
Qidas in the jungle, Susano, as he's now called Giliara from now on, he will be, I'll tell you that much. But he had a very good ultimate there to make sure he kept Kingdom in this game. Homie's a little bit overextended here, though, and Homie's going to get punished for this, for his indiscretions. However, the Meditate will keep him alive for a second. His Meditates are on point, but he's walked straight into a Chaac, and that's not where you want to be.
Not at all. Not having the Sanctuary. Still walking into the Rain Dance. Sleepy Time is active. Just needs to find the in-hand. Going to give up the TheYungHomie's life.
On his way around the corner, though, but Jumpahhh takes this guy on Thor, looking for the 3, walking through mid, and he gets all 3. Berserker Barrage on the mark. However, he's going to force back the boys of Kingdom a little bit more. They play this very defensively.
That's going to be a double Purification being forced by Jumpahhh. And that gives a lot of positional control on the side of Elevate. They're going to be looking for this Fire Giant, probably.
Got to be careful there. Chaac have been on the front line. He does have backup with the Soul just to sit at the back line, and Zen doing a good job of that. 3, 1, and 3 so far is this Soul. Just hanging at the back line, realizing to stay out of the engagements and poke from as max range as possible.
Paul zoning out KeegsMate. This is the one issue that you have to respect out of Paul right there. Forcing out the Sanctuary, still having the ultimate, gonna...
Well, he didn't time that very well, and instead it's turned around. Sanctuary used by Paul now, but he's got enough damage to still secure the kill. We can find one more hit, but the Thunder Crash to the rescue from Keegs. You miss time your ultimate, you pay the price.
That was a point-blank ultimate being missed by Paul, unfortunately. He probably should have been more patient and just waited for the Water Spout, because that would have guaranteed the kill anyway. But either way, more aggression into the soul, and TheYungHomie doesn't have his passive.
But Zeus is here, and now he's going to get silenced out by Niqued on the Chaac. Going to force him back as well. Homie still being pressured on this right-hand side. No Meditate this time round for him to survive, but Elevate really just looking to clear away a bit more jungle, control this speed buff.
They really want to be able to find the picks before they go for Fire Giant, because before Paul died, they have to respect the Habwa ultimate, and now that Super's around with his own ultimate, they can't start the Fire Giant.
Well, Sol on zone duty here on the left-hand side, because the rest of the team pushing up to this tier 2 tower, and this seems to be the focus from Elevate. 4 members strong here. Chaac able to tank this one up and help clear the way from range with minions here. Backdoor protections are removed.
Not having Paul to defend this, wanting to give it up. They didn't really see that the Raijin wasn't quite there, so electing to just give up the tier tower for free instead of fighting 4-on-4.
It seems Paul wants to try and find the 1v1s more often than not here, Tolly. Not going for the big team fight ultimates. He's looking for finding a potential pick only.
High risk, high reward. Unfortunately, didn't execute it efficiently enough. Had he found the kill, he would have been able to easily walk away. He didn't really need to commit with the ultimate like we mentioned before, but now, as a result, Elevate, they're going to still look to position themselves around this Fire Giant. They have the wards that they need to, but they need to continue to find more picks, because you can't really force fire against a Habwa and Zeus late game.
Well, it's only a 5k gold lead for Elevate at this stage. Gold Fury is about to respawn as I say that. Experience is 6,000, and the main difference there is just between the two junglers is about a level or 2 lead in favor of Elevate.
At the 30-minute mark, though, this gold and experience lead is meaningless. It's up to Kingdom to make sure that they don't get picked around this jungle, and it's up to Elevate to make sure that they do.
A lot of bursts on both teams here, and actually when I look down the rosters, you can see just one Shell on the side of Elevate to deal with Kingdom's roster, and one on the side of Kingdom as well on the Rav in this game. So Shell is going to be very, very important in these team fights, I feel, totally.
All the area of effect damage from both teams. You have to watch out for Keegs' ultimate. You have to watch out for Supra's ultimate. So these mid-mages, they have to time their ultimates after the Shell.
Fire Giant has been pulled by Sol there. You can hear it in the background as the team is still clearing out wards and working on zone Elevate. But now Kumbhakarna walks in, going to get a yawn on 2 of them. Uppercuts to the back line too, and Sol already forced below half. Hebo around the corner looking to find Keegs, who Thunder crashes away. As meanwhile, Chaac does what Chaac Chaac does best and focus out Zeus, but now he's surrounded and he needs help.
And the Hobwa is going to be in the backline. The Typhoon knocking up 2 of the frontline members. The Thor landing down, setting up Raijin drums.
And they all got baited in by the Chaac, aggressing onto him, and reinforcements arrive perfectly for Elevate. Now with a meditate coming through as well, they can sustain up a little bit more. Jumpahhh going to try some body blocks on Zeus and trap him in a corner, and that's poor old Zeus. He's going to fall down in his own sanctuary. Doesn't buy him enough time.
Paul, unfortunately, did not get in a position to use his ultimate. We saw him trying to flank on the bottom right mid-heartbeat side, but such a great disengage from all of Elevate didn't allow that.
And now, once again, Niqued on zone duty on the backside, dealing with 2 of them, happy to just keep them busy while the rest of his team does fire jump, but they've got to respect the Thor that could come around the corner. Wall, double tap connects, but it's only onto a Ravana. Paul feeling himself, though, wants to go a bit more aggressive now, as Fire Giant is still being done for free by Elevate.
It's at 30%. They have the Wrath option available. Paul's going to wrap around to the top left side of these mid-heartbeats. Has to give it up, though. The Wrath does confirm fire for Elevate, and now with 1 member dead now, Qidas respawning, they should be looking for some Phoenixes.
20-10. Elevate only have 1 tier 2 tower left to take as well. Expect them to all head back to bases. What they're doing, the golden hand, to spend that up and go for the last tier 2 tower.
Gold Fury is up as well. If they wanted to go for that to finish off some 6 items, maybe get a 6 item for Rippin holes, that could be an option. They are probably going to lean on this red buff, gold, and then left tier 2 tower before the Phoenixes.
Feels like a very messy game though, Tolly. No one's really been clean this game.
Not at all. It's the first game of the
that's
SCLs
true.
between both of them. You are trying out some new things. You know, Paul going the Hunter's Hobwa. It's been working out in some situations, and then others, unfortunately, a little bit lack of execution. But once he gets a little bit more warmed up, then he's going to be able to carry.
Do you expect him to potentially do this again next game if it's available to him? Looking for the Hobwa again?
There's so much carry potential with his Hobwa and the Hunter. As long as he doesn't get ganked early game, then he's fine.
I think they're a little bit lackluster on tower push, though, and I think that's one of the reasons why you see so many towers still standing on the side of Elevate. But having a mage in the Hunter role, it can go against you, unless you've got one that's focused on in-hand damage, like Sol, like Kronos, you know? They're the only real ones that can really bring down these towers.
And that's why there was the Kronos and the Freya ban between both of them. Sol getting taken right off the bat by Kingdom. Maybe it was going to be Elevate that was going to take the Sol, and that's why they went for Hobwa.
Oh, not this time round. Chaac to the front line, though. Gets hit by that Soul Reaver and a bit more poke onto him, but he's going to commit a little bit heavier here for the time being with the heals. Inside the Phoenix range, however, is not the wisest place for Chaac to be. But on the left-hand side, you see Rippin holes engaging, forcing back the carries. Chaac knocked up again as Susano commits nicely, but Susano is evaporated by both Zen and KeegsMate.
Going to force out some Sanctuaries. The Zeus ultimate. Great job, Paul. Still having his ultimate, having to respect it. Elevate needs to regen from this Fire Giant buff before they commit.
And they wait for the next minion wave to come through as well. Like you said, Fire Giant buff will make an impact left-hand side there. Ravana looks like he's got a bit of an issue, unfortunately. Phoenix on the left does fall down, and respect coming out from Elevate, at least not committing for him, but they're looking to try and push on and find a second Phoenix.
They do find RedderRippr, sending him to the grave. Transitioning into the middle Phoenix now. It's going to be only 3 members of Kingdom trying to defend this, but Super going to get stunned and zoned away. Still really low on the side of Elevate. One good knock up into an ultimate could spell the doom.
He gets 2, and now he's looking for the 3rd as well. Immediately, though, the disengage happens. Hebo's still there, looking at Niqued as well. Niqued under pressure with Zeus coming in. Is it going to be a triple kill for the Hobwa this game? Yes, it will.
That's all they needed, but immediately to respond is KeegsMate. He was at full health, still having Fire Giant. There should be a double kill, a nice Sanctuary to prevent the detonate. YoungHomie really needs to save Super's life here.
YoungHomie is really out here. Thundercrash should be available soon for Keegs, though, and there's a rotation coming once more time in from the Bacchus, but Bacchus, Epic uppercutted away from the fight. They could pick up both kills here, Kingdom. Rippin holes, disengages, and gets Keegs away for another second.
But a nice jet stream is going to allow the chase to continue onto KeegsMate, finding the kill, and now Rippin holes. His belly flop is down. This could be a deicide.
Could be a deicide in favor of Kingdom Esports, but focusing on this kill is one thing. Can they get some objectives to get themselves back in the game here, Tolly?
All they need to do is hold on to the left and mid, trying to get into the late game form. Going to be able to jet stream onto this Bacchus. His belly flop is still down, and that's going to be a deicide. And now Kingdom, they're delaying the game a little bit. They still hold on. They just need to defend these fire meetings. They can't really get anything off of this except for the Gold Fury, but that's going to help them get back into this one.
Well, they're just hanging around for the timing and to invade the jungle, see if the red buff's up, and just as they do that, the red buff does respawn. 2 Phoenixes did fall there, though, however, in favor of Elevate, so they're still in control of this game, even if they take the whole jungle here, Tolly, to all the tier 1 towers and the Gold Fury. It's still going to be a good lead.
And the player damage is all about Kingdom's mages, the Habwa and the Zeus. This is their win conditions to get back into this one. One good chain lightning or one good knock-up into the Habwa ultimate is all they need to win these team fights. You cannot group up against this Habwa.
And that's the problem with the two mages here, that I feel, is the fact that they're relying on just Susano for physical damage here. Obviously, Raven's got some, but he's not going to be putting out as much if he's gone for a tanky build, which he has. You're relying on a Susano for all your physical player damage. So if you just build magical resistance, you can survive a little bit longer.
It's still going to be a lot of magical damage because it's the late game form. Magical damage will outweigh your magical protections at this point, especially with red buff onto Paul, having the purple pod to his name.
Well, 36 minutes in and that speed buff being looked at by both teams. Susano will secure it for himself and Kingdom, though. And I think the next dance is going to be the Fire Giant one, honestly, totally, because if Kingdom get this, they even this game.
Absolutely. You have to respect Elevate has to respect Kingdom's damage between this Habwa and Zeus. However, they have the advantage with left and mid Phoenix going down, so they have to play the waiting game. Allow these fire minions to be answered by somebody from Elevate, and then force a 5-on-4 engage around the Fire Giant pit.
You do see that Hebo Paul has picked up a power potion as well this game. Those are at start level 10 now, but people still investing into him, realizing how strong they are. He's got red buff as well. He's got a lot of damage for that Habwa. And not only that, though, the one surprising thing is seeing Susano over in left-hand side when the Fire Giant's up, and he's got a Wrath.
He doesn't have teleport. You should probably lean on your Solar to defend that one. And Paul trying to make the rotation. Thor's in the sky. He's trying to find Paul. Gonna land onto him. Fire Giant very low.
But they do have a Wrath on the side of Elevate as well. Fire Giant goes down, and it goes the way of Elevate already. Paul takes out Jumpahhh, though, because of this. And now the rotations are here. Homie's very low as well on the backside. And still you see Chaac trying to go in and do work on the keep Hebo out of this fight and the Zeus alone.
TheYungHomie is gonna revive, find the Yawn. Still going aggressive. He dashes back into Keeks instead of dashing away. He wants to set up Paul, but Paul's playing too far back.
Yeah, you saw Keeks trying to pick up Zeus, but Zeus is alive, so it's Habwa. However, Keeks picks up Homie, and the front line of Kingdom
Titan's
fall
going down to the fire minutes. They didn't realize this.
They tried to commit for 5 minutes, may kill Zeus here. Nope, Chaac will try and close the gap, but Sanctuary comes out. I don't think this is going to be able to stop. Niqued could do this solo now.
It's going to be it. That's it. The fire minutes, it was just too much. Qidas was not in position to defend it in time. The team fight lasted too long. You had to have somebody dedicated to defend both middle and left. Whenever you have 2 lanes with fire minutes flooding in, sometimes you even need 2 people.
Absolute crazy game between those 2 teams. Honestly, very, very fast pace between it. Lots of mistakes, but lots of action for you guys at home as well. And that's only game 1 of the SCL. Game 2, we saw Zeus and Hebo on the same team.
It was impressive.
Do we want to see if we're going to play Hebo in the Hunter role, do we want to see a Hunter in mid maybe, an actual AD carry?
That could have been an option that Kingdom would have. You could have, Uller on her, now Ramus, surprisingly enough to say. Neath, there's a lot of flexibility by putting Habwa into that duo lane. Luckily enough, there was not that much pressure from Jumpahhh into the duo lane because they wanted to keep fighting around those mid Harpies.
Well, let's go to pick